Hello, my name is Melka. I'm from Philippines and my husband is Perry. He's from Canada. Now we're talking about how we got to China into 2009. And then from Philippines we are broke, right?
Hmm?
In that year 2009, that's why you decided to go to
Well,
come to China.
well, God was providing, and there was a guy in Macau who wanted to hire me to be an ESL department director for a school in Macau, and so I thought, great, that's awesome, and so I decided to take them up on that position. And so eventually we flew to Macau, and actually we flew to Macau or we flew to Hong Kong.
Macau directly.
Okay, we flew to Macau and then got to the school, and then the school took all of our paperwork to bring it to the government to get the approval, but the government decided that. According to their way of doing things, I wasn't qualified, even though, you know, the people who ran the school believed that I had the qualifications and the experience to do it. The government of Macau felt that I didn't. So that ended up with us not being able to stay in Macau.
Yeah, and then the problem is we don't have a visa, we don't have money. That's why we apply coming into China, right?
Well, we needed a job, or I needed a job.
And then what did we do? We bought a ticket, hotel.
No, we looked for a job, and then there was a position, a lady in Dongguan, and her boyfriend that talked us into going to Dongguan to teach English there. And they made all kinds of promises, but the promises were not.
We just don't have a visa.
Yeah, the promises weren't exactly fulfilled.
Yeah, and that school is just what is it's not totally school. It's
No, it's a school, but the thing is that the school hired somebody else to hire foreign teachers, and
we pay our own visa.
And then we had to pay our own visa and actually get our own visa, and you know, they promised us that they would supply the visa,
But
and well, they lied.
And then at that time we went to Hong Kong because our visa.
Well, no, that's we got so long of a visa there, and then the lady at the school, she was able to get a contact through the visa people in the city that we were at to get us to extend our visa. And then when that was running out, her contact couldn't do it again for some reason. Who knows why? Maybe he was caught or something. But anyway, we had to go to Hong Kong to get our visa extended.
And leave our son to Chinese people.
No, not Chinese. The husband was a foreigner. And I became good friends with him, and they took care of our son Xander for
4 days.
4 days, something like that, 5 days. And we went down to Hong Kong to get the visa stuff. And the funny thing is that we didn't have 100% guarantee that we would get the visa.
Yeah, and then we leave our son in China.
But we trusted that
Yeah.
that it would happen.
But God provided everything
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
time because God's
Well, we trusted that
awesome.
God would provide,
Yeah.
and He did.
Yeah, you know, for how many times we experience something that really scary in here in China, but most of the time God never fail us.
Well, somebody thought it was scary, but other people didn't.
And then after that time, we went to Nanjing.
After that, I had a good friend, one of the other teachers that at the school in Dongguan that I taught at. He was a guy from Australia, and there was a school in Nanjing that offered him a job, but he didn't want to do it. And so he asked me if I was interested. I said, yeah. So I gave him all my information, and he gave it to the people in Nanjing, and the guy there phoned me. And we talked for over an hour, and he was really impressed with my, the way that I thought and everything. And so they hired me, and it was a step up in wages. And so we worked there, or I worked there for a year. And the nice thing about that is, in the second semester, I was able to work for 2.5 days straight. So it's like a full day, and then a half day. And that I got in my 20 hours of teaching in 2.5 days. And then I was able to go home. So I worked for 2.5 days, and I got 4.5 days off. So I could spend 4.5 days with my family.
Yeah, I like that.
That was really good. That was
that's in
awesome.
Nanjing, and I love Nanjing.
Yeah, that was Nanjing, and we when we were there, we got a parrot,
and we have visa at the time, right?
Oh, the school, yeah, the school got us full visa.
But you pay Sanders visa penalty because you don't have the.
Well, what happened is that the school in Dongguan, remember the school that promised to give us the visa, they told us that they would take care of my son's visa somehow, and, well, they lied.
Yeah, for almost a
year.
For
almost 6 months. So that when we got to Nanjing,
everything was okay, right?
No, when we got to Nanjing, the our son's visa, it was.
You paid the penalty.
Well, I had to pay it when we got there because they said, what happened? I says, well, the school promised they'd take care of it, and they didn't. And they said, what? But that's, you didn't make sure. So basically, I had to say that I did something wrong and pay 5,000
for the penalty.
5,000 renminbi for the penalty because the school lied to us.
And then after Nanjing, we went to
first in Nanjing.
Yeah.
We really enjoyed that. Nanjing was really nice.
Yeah. Okay.
And then after Nanjing, I ended up going up to Qingdao.
Qingdao.
Yeah, the beer company, Qingdao.
The Korean school.
Yeah, there's Korean school there. So there's this guy from the States, Jordan, and he saw my resume, and he was really happy with me, and we talked for like an hour and a half or so, and then he flew me up to the school in Qingdao, a Korean school. And the problem is that there was a Korean teacher there who wanted her boyfriend, another foreigner, to get the job. And Jordan was the director, and he was in charge of hiring all the foreigners. And he didn't want to hire this guy because he was useless. So he flew me up, and I did a demo class. And he says, man, you just knocked it out of the park. Yeah, you're hired, don't worry. When can you come up here? And so anyway, we eventually moved up to Qingdao, and they did the visa and everything else. The visa was transferred.
Yeah.
And then we moved to Qingdao.
But when the guy hired you,
Yeah, Jordan,
resigned,
the guy who hired me, he basically resigned
he
because the
resigned,
school.
and the school fired you up.
Well, that's because they wanted to get rid of the people that Jordan hired.
Yeah.
They were mad at Jordan, and you know, in order to satisfy their you know, their anger, you get rid of all the people that
Revenge.
that person hired. Yeah, they wanted revenge on Jordan, and getting rid of me was their
Yeah.
revenge.
And at that time,
So-
the Korean school wanted us to move out from the
Well, the
apartment.
first
If not,
problem
they're gonna
was-
bring a police for us.
The first problem was is that the apartment that they put us in was filled with black
yeah.
mold,
Okay.
and I was getting I was coughing up. It was really bad, and our son was getting really sick because of the black mold as well. And so I told the school, "Hey, listen, this apartment is full of black mold." And instead of putting this into a new apartment, that was their second reason
They fired
to
you.
fire us.
They got fired. And then
So-
after that,
And then, and then they said, "Well, you must leave in 3 days."
yeah.
And
If not,
I phoned, or we're gonna get the police. So
Yeah.
I phoned SAFA, and that's the government agency in China that looks after the welfare of foreign teachers. And I told them what happened, and a couple hours after that, I got a phone call from the school begging us to forgive them, and that we can stay there as long as we needed until we could find other accommodations, and that they wouldn't, you know, they wouldn't cancel the visa or anything like that, and then they would give us the paperwork we needed to move on and everything else. And so we were able to stay in that apartment longer because SAFA, the government of China, they looked after us, because this school, this Korean school was really nasty. And I'm pretty sure they were doing some bad dealings, because every time I went to the campus, there were people walking around with big bags full of money, and you know, hundreds of passports. So who knows what they were doing? But anyway,
yeah.
we eventually left there, and we ended up going down to a school in
Fuzhou or Nanjing?
no
Fuzhou.
Zhenjiang.
Oh yeah, Zhangjiagang. And
Zhenjiagang.
that's
That's the school where the where the owner of the school had a crush on me. That was a horror story, I tell you. That was really bad. And she had a real problem with her boyfriend, and she was, you know, complaining, and I was trying to counsel her, and then she was it wasn't good. And then after a while, I got another job. I got another job down in Fuzhou.
yeah.
And then I told her I'd help her find another guy to take my place. And then another guy came to get an interview, and she hit on this guy so hard. After the interview, he told me, "Oh man, I don't want to work there. That's just a headache waiting to happen." Anyway, she really hated me. But we got out of there as soon as we could.
After Nanjing, went to Qingdao, and then Zhangjiagang. That's in part of Jiangsu province.
Yeah, that's between
Jiangsu and Nanjing.
Wuxi. No, not Wuxi.
Shanghai, close.
Wuxi and Shanghai. Yeah.
And after that, we went to.
Okay, then after Zhenjiagang, we went down to Fuzhou the first time.
Yeah, and Fuzhou is very beautiful city.
Oh, Fuzhou is really nice.
Yeah, and after.
And no, we got to see what happened. Stop trying to rush. Anyway, Fuzhou, was interesting, because in Fuzhou, what happened is that the school ended up doing the paperwork for my visa, but somebody screwed up and didn't get the paperwork for my wife's visa and my son's visa. So my wife and son would have to leave China and go back to the Philippines and then get all kinds of paperwork done. And that would have been a huge, monstrous headache. And it's funny because God had already provided
everything for us.
Provided another job, and I didn't even know. You know, even before we needed something, God had already provided the way.
And I believe that before we pray, God already answered.
Yeah,
prayer.
And the thing is that my friend who hired me for Qingdao for the Korean school, he had gotten a job and he was running a school in Kunming. And he phoned me. He finally got a hold of me, and either sent me an email or phoned me. And he says, "Oh man, yeah, I've been trying to find you. You know, I have a new school, and I need you to come here and be my director of studies, my DOS. Okay. And you need to come right away." Yeah, just wait. And so the thing is that I already had a job. I already had this contract. I says, "I've already signed a contract. I can't." He says, "Try to get out of it." I said, "You know how hard it is to get out of contracts in China. It's impossible." But we didn't know yet that the school had messed up the paperwork for my wife and my son. So the next day, this is the day after my friend said he wanted to hire me. The next day, the school in Fuzhou told me that, there's a problem. I said, "What do you mean there's a problem?" "Oh, well, we didn't do the paperwork for your wife and son and they have to leave China." I said, "What? That won't do. I mean, I have to go with them and then I have to stay here." "Oh, yeah, and then they can't, then you have to go back to the Philippines and apply again. Yeah. And so we'll have to be separated for 6 months, for 4 or 5 months." And I said, no, I can't, there's no way that's going to work. And then I says, I have a friend who offered me another job, and I think I'm going to take that job because if you would have done the paperwork, I'd stay here, but you messed up the paperwork, so I'm going to go there. Okay. And now what happened is in Fuzhou, there was a principal who turned out to be a really mean guy. And when I told him what the problem was, instead of telling the truth to the director, he lied to him and told him that I was trying to get out of the contract because I don't know what lies he told him. And so the director of the school in Fuzhou, he sent me an email or a text and telling me that they're not going to give me the paperwork, that they're going to ban me from working in China for 5 years and all this other stuff and whatnot. And so I sent him a text or an email back telling him, "I don't know who told you what, but the school messed up and they can't get the paperwork for my wife and son, and we have to be separate for 5 months. And I don't want to be separate from my wife and son for 5 months. And a friend of mine offered me a job, and we can stay together. And doing what you're doing that's not nice." And then I sent that text to him. A couple of minutes later, he phoned me and he says, "Hi, Perry." I says, "Hi." He says, "I didn't know this." I said, "Yeah, well, that's what happened." He says, "Well, the principal, he told me blah, 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 blah. He told me a different story. And so he told me what the principal said, and it was nothing but lies." And then the director, he says, "Perry, I'm so sorry, of course, we don't expect you to be separated from your wife, and I apologize that the school had screwed up on the paperwork, and that you can't stay with us. And I totally agree that we should give you the opportunity to go to this other school." and I will get all the paperwork together and give you a release as soon as I can. Give me 2-3 days to get the paperwork done, and I'll get that done and give that to you. And he just kept on apologizing, and he says, you know, I hope that in the future, that sometime in the future, you can come and work for us. And I'm so sorry that it didn't work out. And I apologize for the way you were treated, and for me jumping to conclusions. I was told something different, and I should have checked with you first, and I'm sorry about that.
So at that time, everything works together for good because God has another plan for us. Okay, we end up in this.
Yeah, and
we're gonna end this story first because
we'll continue on
later.
We'll continue on in Kunming from here. Now, the whole point is that God supplied a solution before we even knew we had a problem.
Yeah,
and that's the awesome thing.
Anyway, so awesome.
God is good.
Thanks for watching. Right away.
Take care.
Bye bye.
And see you again soon. And bye for now.